our calendars. Let's go ahead and start with
Okay, we'll go ahead.
Vice Chair. Thank you for volunteering.
To start out, last week I went to the RCRC chair of the RCRC board's meeting. There's one usually in May where you go to the chair's county. We went to Monterey County, but this time we went to Salinas. I know I kept saying Monterey, but it's Salinas that we went to. And there was a tour the first day, which were really interesting tours. They really had a lot of good information and very helpful. We went to a place called Tanamura and Antle, where they showed us a housing project that they had built. They had built basically like 4 or 5 buildings for families to come and work. Not families, actually, just workers to come from basically Arizona back and forth. So they would go there, stay for the season, go back home. Then they would get a bus ride back home to Yuma, Arizona, and vice versa. It was really interesting to see how well kept it was. They had like a softball field, they had a soccer field, all sorts of different amenities for that, and they felt it was need. It was a need because they were having a hard time keeping workers. There was a lack of housing in the community, and of course, naturally, they mentioned how it was a really big NIMBY until they realized, hey, that you ruined our neighborhood, and he said, when are they coming forward? He's like, they've lived here for 5 months already, and they didn't even notice it. So it was really cool to see. They're doing really big things there with that, and I know they're a long-standing company. Then we went over to where they did some crop. They showed us some crop examples, and they're using AI. They had a crop laser that was zapping weeds and other plants, whatever they were growing, to ensure that if it was defective or if it was too close to the other, this laser would shoot it and it would be gone. And so it's really interesting to see. I'd never even seen anything else, because this isn't something I'm used to being around when it comes to crops and whatnot, but it was just like, whoa. Then they showed us a weed remover that actually it just basically takes out the weeds. It's a mechanized unit that's controlled with AI. So it takes like 1 or 2 people to man this. And so they were showing us that. That was a really interesting deal. And a lot of the folks that were involved in farming and whatnot from different counties were really like excited. Well, not excited. They were like kind of skeptical, but then, they were like, wow, this can take off some serious time, but at the same time, then you got to think about jobs and things. So it's a balance. I don't know. It was good to see, but then again, who knows? We don't know. This is a new, what do they call that? It's treading new waters. But so that was part of that. We went to the USDA Crop Improvement Protection Research Center that they had. Basically, it's just showing us where the scientists study pests and bugs in the labs and the greenhouses, and then there were some specimens there and whatnot. So I honestly spaced a lot of that one because I was really more interested in the others, and I didn't understand it as well. But Rancho Cielo was really my favorite part of the trip. Rancho Cielo is a place where at-risk youth in the community that are having like foster or fostered out, or what do they call them when they're there's a word for when they're they're 17 and they become adults on their own. I forgot the name for it. It'll come to me, but no. They can emancipate. That's yeah. So they go to this place. The first place we toured there was a garden, and so they showed that they actually work in the garden. Then there's a Ted Taylor Ag Vocational Center. This was a really this was really cool. They had a classroom like as big as this, but then a bay where you can work on carpentry. So these kids were working on carpentry. They were sitting in a classroom environment, then they would go over and work on it, on whatever project they were working on. They also had a mechanic section. So they're building all these awesome cars. These kids are like just doing the work. They're enjoying it. There was a young man, I could tell he's probably like 25, but he had already been doing this. He went through the program and he was teaching them. He was showing us like this old like T-bird that he was working on and how he had got them to work on. It just man, it was really cool to see. Moving on to that, we went to where they have a culinary program, and they had actually made some like snacks for us and served with coffee and whatnot. And they actually serve there like on Saturday nights. So these kids, not only do they cook, but they serve, and they host events and things like that. They built an amphitheater so that they can have events there. The only thing they've had so far was a graduation ceremony. And then the person who toured us was the judge. The judge is heavily involved. He sees a lot of these cases and refers youth to this program. And he said his wife was making fun of him or upset with him because with the building, the amphitheater, they still only had the graduation, and they feel they should have more events there for them as they serve meals and whatnot there. There was a home that they built. It was a real what do they call it, like a low energy home. So it had like solar and then different structures built onto it. They built it after the whole COVID situation, and so that was really, really cool to see. One of the other things that happens once they're finished with this program is they're plugged right into a job most of the time because the folks that are teaching them will have those connections. So a lot of them get hired right off the bat once they're finished. And so it's a really cool project called Rancho Cielo. And, it's something to aim for, really, when you think about it. When we have, well, I know it's a bigger county, of course, but when we have issues with filling people in positions and we have at-risk youth, these are things that possibly, can fill those voids when you think about it. The rest of the tour, we went to a place called Constellation Brands, which was like a winery where we were looking at. I think the highlight of that, I won't go too far into it, was meeting Ed Matovic, who actually used to be Congressman Thompson's chief of staff. So I was talking to him for a bit about that. Then we went to dinner at Pisoni Vineyards, where they showed us this vineyard in Salinas, had a really nice view. And they had a really cool garden to, I guess, invite the bees and whatnot. And then we, sat at the vineyard or whatever it was. It was like a little, I don't know, it was underground, it was cement. I don't know what they call those things. Cave, yeah. So we went there and finished and went back. And then we had our board meeting the next day where we really delved into the strategic plan. A lot of the stuff other things that we had done, I think I talked about it last meeting, was on the consent agenda, but the focus was the strategic plan that Pat didn't, but the other gentleman brought it here that time, Craig brought it to us. And so they're enhancing that. We put together some, comments and recommendations to move forward on that. So that was the whole deal there, the whole tour. So yeah, it was a really, really good experience. Came back and went to the Bloody Island ceremony. It was the 25th that they have held at Reclamation Road. So that was an event. I seen a lot of familiar faces there, and so that was really cool to see a lot of different folks. This was probably the most in attendance. I always help because they're my uncles who run this. And there's been times when there's only been like a handful of people, and we actually had probably up to 100 to 150. And so that was really good to see. There was dancing all the way into the night. And usually we have like one set, whereas we had like 2.5 sets, if you will, and could have went further if we had more singers. But it was really good. And it wasn't good for me because I was up all night, but it's all right. That's what I do on that one. Let's see. Next week, this week I have a behavioral health meeting. I'm meeting with behavioral health, and then Thursday we have a AAA funding. Is that? And then aging service. Someone wants to interview us about aging, and so we'll be doing that. Next week I have the Farm, Ranch, and Rural Communities meeting or committees meeting. Thursday is the LCRA Parks meeting, and then Middle Creek Restoration on the Monday. Back here at the BOS on Tuesday. I know it's the Memorial Weekend as well. I think that's all I'll say.
Thank you for your report. Supervisor Pyska?
Tomorrow, I hopefully going to be able to do this webcast on building clean energy infrastructure, roadblocks, trade-offs, and solutions. But it is pretty long. I think Ben is not able to do it. Maybe Terry is. Yeah. So I thought I would try and cover it if they can't. NCO board meeting, science fair. Thursday is the build graduation. We have the AAA funding meeting. Then the CWA spring social. Friday, county leadership interview on aging services, meeting with a constituent. And then next week, I have an insurance working group that I just got, that's just starting up with CSAC. So we're starting to work on that with other supervisors from around the state. And then we have our rec agency meeting, and then on the 31st, special districts rate study meeting, Canocti Neighbor Fest at Galilee Church, Motherwise bingo at Chasewater, and it looks like a really full Friday. And then I'll be back here for the 4th.
Thank you. Supervisor Green?
Yeah, thank you. Let's see. So last Thursday, I attended a Blue Ribbon committee here in Lakeport. A pretty brief meeting, but there was an information update for a previous funding cycle. There are several projects that haven't been contracted yet, and that I want to thank Chair Sklar for bringing that to the committee's attention. As I understand the issue, it involves an issue that comes up frequently, and that is the limited waiver of sovereign immunity that the state likes to get on contracts, and which can be not universally popular when it comes down to tribal government, and I totally get that, seen it in other applications. That said, to be this far along in the funding process and to kind of hit that little hiccup is concerning. So I did reach out very briefly to Chair McLeod of Big Valley. They have the biggest number of projects that are hitting that snag, and just offered general words of support and assistance. I know Supervisor Crandall was busy last week, but I'm sure he and Terry Logson have some familiarity with this issue. And if there's anything the county or the Watershed Protection District can do to help get these very important projects across the finish line, that would be super. But I don't know that we have to have any involvement yet. Also, there was one project, the smaller project by Scotts Valley, that I think Water Resources is looking to pick up. So I'm very glad you're back. It sounds like kind of a technical issue and a complicated issue, and if there's anything we can do, again, to get these Blue Ribbon projects across the finish line before June 30th, we certainly don't want that money to revert to the state. Saturday morning, I was attended the commemoration at Bloody Island. I have no words. It was very moving. We talk about our positions of leadership and how we're supposed to be trauma-informed and apply principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And events like this are so important. It's really hard to be truly informed about the trauma unless you've spent some time out there and seen and felt that trauma, and so I'll be carrying that for probably the rest of my life. Coming up tomorrow, First Five Commission, I'm still hoping Chair Sabatier will be able to cover. I hope to be on the road up to Eureka. Thursday, I'm going to North Coast EMS. Might be a slightly longer meeting than normal because of a closed session item. And then I think that's it. Scotts Valley Community Advisory Council gets the month off because of the Memorial Day weekend. And looks like we'll be off on Tuesday. So that's my report.
Thank you. Supervisor Satman?
Finished the meeting up today. Kind of got an open calendar for a little while. Had Risk Reduction Authority yesterday. A couple meetings in the last couple of weeks. We had our marathon meeting last week with LTA, APC, and AVA all together. In 8 years, that's never happened, but it happened that day. So
Let's do it
we were
again.
able to get through it. Yeah. Want to have a call this Friday with CAO, and then, like I said, holiday next week. Sent something that Congressman Thompson's coming to Clear Lake next week sometime. I know I got an invitation. I haven't replied back, but I'm seeing if I can get that done. Also have a couple other meetings that were asked to be set up on projects. On the 30th, I think I'll be meeting with someone from the Maha Group, I think, or at least they reached out. We'll see what they have to say. And then back here on the 4th for the meeting.
Thank you very much. So this evening, I will be joining the Lakeport City Council to do my annual PEG presentation. I do it solely for the $2,000 stipend that we receive to continue the operations, but also to inform them and let them know of what's available for them to utilize. We are still working to get the PEG station working in the city of Lakeport. For some reason, that's been a very arduous project, and hope to get that one accomplished sooner than later. Tomorrow, I will be starting off with a conversation with LG Sonic. Do want to share my appreciation to Terry Logsdon and also Water Resources Department for the work that they are doing with the CDBG MIT grant with the state, trying to get that squared up. Hopefully we'll get a final answer sooner than later. I'll be going to the first 5, as has been requested, then joining in on the local Lake County Fire Protection District Board just to listen in and see what's going on. And at 6 p.m., I'm invited guest to present the work that we are attempting to get done in our Food Policy Council. I'll be doing a presentation to the Sierra Club about that. On Thursday, start off with the judge's breakfast. There's going to be a Hope Rising governing board meeting. We're working on our strategic plan, and so we hope to get that done soon. And then it's going to be a short strategic plan because we're doing the CHNA all over again. That's going to start 2025, and so we plan to have a strategic plan ready for 2025 as well. So right now it's just going to be a short-term strategic plan, but we need to get back into the collaborative meetings that we've had and start moving the needle on our health metrics. At 12 p.m. at the Brick Hall in Lower Lake, I'll be going to the Build graduation. And then later on that afternoon, evening, working with our public health department, the cities, and reviewing the tobacco retail license stuff that might be coming back to us in June, maybe a little bit later, depends how that meeting goes. On the 24th, I will be going to Woodland most of the day, Woodland Community College. Graduation will be happening there. I sure hope that those with certificates and degrees will be looking for jobs at the county. The next week, I will be meeting with the bus tour of surprise. I'm not sure exactly what the bus tour comprises of, but that's with Congressman Thompson. Got that invitation, and since we don't have a meeting, I'll go ahead and join that. And looks like I'm pretty vacant on things for the following week. Do have a meeting with Canocti Gardens for special districts to take a look at what's going on with those apartments. I think things are moving along just fine at this moment in time, and that's what I have. And obviously, I don't want to steal your thunder, but I will be enjoying the weekend in between this Friday and Monday in Lower Lake as well for the Memorial Days Parade.
I forgot about the movie. I'm going to be there. Going to be in it. Sorry.
Get some good food, go find some good gifts, and enjoy community. That's definitely a highlight for the South Lake area for sure.